My name is David Rehr, and I live and work in Washington, D.C. I found a lot of entrepreneurs are always nervous about politicians and politics, and they say, well, David, you know, I'm really good at being an entrepreneur, and I'm a pretty good marketer, and I'm a really good salesman, but I don't think I'd be good in politics. And I look at them, I say, politics is sales, but rather than selling the product or the service, you're selling the idea. Same thing. This is why I think entrepreneurs could be so good at this. They get up, no matter how many times they get knocked down, they get back up again. Your general politician, they don't have as much perseverance because they just have had to do that to be successful. In Washington, dogged determination means a lot. A little energy, a little attention, involvement really can make a huge difference. I mean, for small business people, advancing legislation or stopping legislation can immediately affect your bottom line. Immediately affect your bottom line. It starts with one, but there are hundreds of other people who are thinking the same thing. And this is all about, you know, in business, there's a lot of books written on leadership. What's leadership? Leadership is the first person who steps forward. And suddenly you'll find there are a lot of people behind you who go, you know what, I feel the same way. If it's easy for him, if he could do it, I can do it. Anyway, so I was going to say one vote makes a difference. In the history of the world, one vote gave Oliver Cromwell the control of Parliament in England. One vote gave Adolf Hitler control of the Nazi Party in 1923. And you think about that. How different the world would have been had this monster not gotten control of the Nazi Party. My favorite is one vote made English the official language of the United States in 1776 over German. Otherwise, right now, we'd be speaking German to each other. You know, a lot of it comes down to what's our own vision for where we want America to be. And at the end of the day, if we all say to ourselves, you know what, we don't mind if America is a second or third-rate power, America will become a second or third-rate power. And it is through this kind of dogged determinism of thinking of America, American business, our kind of entrepreneurs as the best in the world, we will remain the best in the world. Now, Washington affects that as well. And if there are bad policies coming out of Washington, or if there's a lack of good policies coming out of Washington, that could affect where we are in terms of world economic growth. But, you know, we have freedom, we have a market system, we have relatively limited government, although it probably should be a little bit more limited, a little smarter. And that bodes well, stability, that bodes well for us, I think, in the years to come. Yeah, I think it was President James Madison said, and I might botch the quote, but he said, if men were angels, no government would be necessary. Men aren't angels. It's always, what degree of government involvement do you want? I mean, nobody says we could be a great country if we didn't have a government, because, you know, who would build the bridges? So we need government. The question is, in my mind, how do we make sure that government policy at the margin is always encouraging small business, always helping them grow, or at least not getting in their way of being prosperous and being productive? If that occurs, we have a big problem. I think we've kind of lost that fundamental understanding of economics. You know, my wife and I have young children. We're going to do our best to explain to them, you know, bank loans require repayment. There's interest charged with that. Credit cards aren't free. One of my littlest children said, oh, I can't wait to get a credit card because I can just charge things. I'm like, no, whoa, time out. It costs you. Nothing is free. And the other thing which complicates is we're losing a lot of people who lived through the Great Depression. So when I was growing up, I had a grandfather who reminded me, you know what, we were so poor, we couldn't spend a dime. Every week we counted the money to make sure we had enough to buy food. And that kind of instilled into me, oh, we better save money. You know, there could be a point where things are bad. A thought about being involved. It's really important that people who have entrepreneurial instincts don't push government away and say, you know what, I'm not going to be involved. They have to be involved, because part of the reason why we're in the state we are in at the federal level and many places at the state level is because we don't have creative, innovative, entrepreneurial people engaged. And I always have had this theory since I stepped into Washington on January 1st, 1981, 28 years ago, after having been with a lot of entrepreneurs my entire life, is that the great thing about entrepreneurs is they know how to fix things. But they got to make the step in to say, you know what, we want to be helpful and fix things. And I think America will be a lot better off, and our economy will rebound, and frankly, the world will be a lot better off if those people just say, you know what, I'm going to get engaged on this.